Hello and welcome to the MiG-21, but slightly different. I'm actually trying to roleplay as kind of like a more nimble Su-15 Flagon. We're going to be bringing only 4 radar missiles with us today. Instead of like no Fox 2s, just radar missiles, the R-3R. And yeah, I'm going to roleplay as an interceptor. So if you saw that MiG-19 up ahead, he's gone to scramble up because there's a bunch of B-52s coming in. And, well, as so happens, me playing as a interceptor, that's pretty fortunate for me. So once this takeoff timer is expired, we're going to go ahead and rocket up to altitude as quickly as possible and try and take down these B-52s. So this is Era 2 on Contention Cold War. So the MiG-21 gets access to, well, the R-3Rs. The Phantom gets access to its AIM-70 Sparrows, but everyone still gets really bad Fox 2, so AIM-9B and R-3S. So in my opinion, taking 4 R-3Rs isn't necessarily a bad option. And of course, this being a MiG-21, the f***ing radar has not warmed up yet. So my big brain plan of taking 4 radar missiles to be a interceptor hasn't really paid off, you could say. We've got the MiG-19 up there trying his best. He's got quite a large quote to fill with 6 bombers, but we are still going to attempt to help even though we can't fire any of our missiles. Getting rather close to this B-52 here. I'm going to go ahead and disable the Pipper and aim for the top big cross. That's where my guns are going to go. Sadly my radar has still not warmed up, but the GSH 23mm makes short work of that B-52. And we're going to go ahead and head on to the next one. The MiG-19 has been putting in some work, and I believe he's down 2 of them. So there should now only be 2 left. Now you can see the MiG-19 coming into view there. Going to try his luck with his 30mm. And we're going to go ahead and steal that kill. And remind the MiG-19 that 21 is bigger than the number 19, and we're going to blast past him to head on to the final bomber. That is very close to Woodger, which is not what we want because it's going to go ahead and, well, bomb Woodger, and that's not good. Oh, and by the way, my epoxy radar has still not warmed up yet. So, an amazing plan that was to use my R-3Rs. But with 3 supersonic gun kills later, the MiG-21 has proven itself to be, well, a pretty good gun interceptor, it would seem. So, on to the next sortie then. Hopefully we get to employ my missiles. We have got an F5 that's not showing up on EWR right now because it's, we don't have that good a coverage. And we're keeping to our word. We've still only got 4 radar missiles on as we merge that F5 there. And the radar is warmed up. It's all ready to go this time around, so that's pretty good. We're going to be using the locked beam mode of our radar. So that we can basically just put the Pipper on the target, then press the lock button. And that's kind of like our ACM mode. So we don't need to be like heads down. We can keep our eyes on him while gaining a radar lock, or at least that's the plan. And the F5 is going to basically fly really, really low to avoid EWR, but it's also a pretty good plan to avoid my radar. As you can see, I'm trying to gain lock, but this only having a pulse radar, it gets bad interference from the ground clutter, so we just end up locking the ground instead. And then I managed to almost immediately lose sight of him. So that's pretty good going. And there he is, he's behind us, making another rocket pass on our airfield. So I really am kind of making a dog's dinner out of this, but eventually ... I shall claim my prize. And we're going to try and get really, really low as possible to try and put the sky as the background rather than the ground as the background, if that makes sense, to our radar. So hopefully it can gain a lock. But it's not going to be this term. A couple of thousand years later, we managed to get enough separation to gain a radar lock. We hear the audible tone of the missile, We fire it off, and amazingly we do get quite the low altitude kill with this R-3R, so I was very impressed with that. So not long after dealing with the F5, we come across this F4. We're going to use that lock beam mode again. As you can see, it's tracking the target. The missile can see him because we can hear the tone of it. And we actually lose tone there, so I thought I broke lock, but it was just the Seek having a bit of a spaz, and it's getting pretty close now. So we're going to pull a little bit of lead. And I honestly wasn't expecting the R-3R to come through like that, but it did. It pulled a decent amount of G. They're only limited to 12G, but they do pull off the rails, so they're pretty good like that. And that was my Discord. There's the same push to mute is the same bind as my jettison inner pylons, because we are now merged with multiple jets, and I'm kind of shit myself. And there's an F4 coming in. He had us locked with his radar, so we've turned into notch. Chances are that wouldn't have hit anyway because we're against the ground, and it's just, he's also got a pulse radar. So we go ahead and merge with this F4 Phantom here, and we're not going to beat around the bush. We are now 3 versus 1, if you can see the EWR report. So yeah, we're going to die pretty soon. So I'm going to try and hopefully plan an exit strategy. Now what hasn't computed into my brain is that airfield over there is not our airfield. That is one of their airfields. So we're going to see very shortly some angry smoke trails coming from that, which is on top of the fact that we're merged with 3 of them. So it's a very deaf experience right now. I have kind of gone into rather hot water. And that's when I see the Roland missile coming and think, oh shite. So you have to try and defend against that. Nearly crash. And then we're now surrounded. There's a lot of blue aircraft taking off. And the Phantom's right on our 6. And then we get smashed by a missile. And as it would happen, it was one of the SAMs from their airfield, a IR SAM, the Avenger, firing its Stinger missile. So after charging into the enemy's, well, everything, and dying like a dog, we are back up again, equipped with our trusty 4 radar missiles, the new based loadout. And we can see a bit of a dogfight happening right now. We've got 2 targets on the radar. This one is going to be our hostile. We're going to switch to locked beam so we can just look at him, press the lock button. We've got him locked with the radar. We're going to go ahead and fire it off. And sadly it doesn't quite hit there. What happened is it just didn't have enough energy to pull enough lead. Very short burn time on these missiles, so you know, yeah, they're not very kinematically impressive. A slight turn combined with the fact it can only pull 12G can cause them to miss. So we're coming back around again. Still got lock beam selected. We get the lock straight away. Now he's pretty slow this time, so we're going to pull a little bit of lead, fire off the missile once again. And luckily enough we find some success with that one and we take his wingtip off, so that was good. And jettison those inner pylons now because we fired 2 and we don't need those pylons no more. I have now come across an F5. Luckily for me he's against the sky, so we can immediately use lock beam to gain a radar lock and fire off the R-3R. Pull a little bit of lead there to try and give the missile the best chance for intercept. And sadly it's not to be. As we discovered with that F4 earlier, these missiles are very easily outturned / out-energied. The F5 fires a missile off and unfortunately downs a friendly plane. We just lost a MiG-21 to him. So yeah, I kind of want to kill this guy. Got a nice big juicy lump of AOA, average MiG-21 things. He's against sky again, so we can use the lock beam, but there's not even any point pulling the trigger here because it will never pull enough lead to intercept. It's only a 12G missile. We are pretty close. And you'll see when the gun sight goes through the mountains, we lose the radar lock because of the background clutter. It can't really cope, it being an old pulse radar and all. And we are joined by a MiG-15, Jester's favourite plane. Get some gunshots in there. Forces the F5 to reverse his turn, or at least spooks him to reverse his turn, so we can close the gap a bit more. Get right on his 6. I'm going to start controlling the throttle because I don't really want to overshoot. And I nearly came when I hit that shot, but sadly, average F5 damage model, it has done exactly fuck all. Those burning engines are actual lies. But he is wobbling around a bit. We get a couple of more little hits in there. He's getting pretty wobbly. Might have started to succumb to some damage. And he just ejects. So yeah, the writing was on the wall for that guy. And we claim our next kill. So I'm coming across this F4 Phantom now. I'm going to start plugging in the afterburner because I want to get above 600 knots. So I can avoid being hit by his speed-gated Sparrow. When I'm against the ground, he's forced to use his speed gate. And as I said, if I'm above 600 knots, I should not get hit by it. So we get him locked with the lock beam. He's closing in pretty fast there, so we're going to go ahead and fire off the R-3R. We're going to make sure that we are against the ground. And sadly, he pulled just enough to deny the kill there. So very easy to defeat these R-3Rs. We jettison the outer pylons because we now have no missiles, so we want to be as less draggy and as light as possible as we enter the merge with this F4. Now, because I plugged the burners in before we even merged, I've got a lot of speed that I can go ahead and cash in vertically and horizontally. And the F4's a very good rate fighter, but I just had a look there in the EWR report. As he's on it and it shows his speed, he's only doing about 300 knots, so he's at a suboptimal turning profile for that plane. It wants to be a bit faster. And the MiG-21's a far better low speed fighter than the F4. The F4 really needs to be disciplined to be fighting at these high speeds versus my plane. And we can just cash in this energy and get him right in the gun sight. Aiming with that top cross again. Got that nice vertical line to pull lead with. An assess lead. And we take his wing off. An actual satisfying gun kill. So, not entirely a bad showing for the R-3R. On this Era 2 version of the campaign, I might honestly consider maining this loadout for the 21 as more involving than just taking 4 IR missiles, but at the same time less complex than if you were to mix IR missiles with radar missiles. If you liked what you saw in this video, feel free to hop into the Contention Discord, and the link to that will be in the video description. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching.